Dr. Johnson. Today, welcome, Dr. Johnson.
Thank you. Nice to be here again.
Isn't it amazing to spend 3 days talking with me and working in the clinic?
I can't think of anything better.
Yes, anything better. Thank you. That was great. And so today, Dr. Johnson, I asked him to choose a topic and around vulnerability, but he wanted to go to the other extreme and talk about a book that he's been reading, and a lot of how that content ties in with becoming unvulnerable. Is that the word?
I think it's invulnerable, but close enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and we call that being a superhuman.
Yes.
Talk about it.
Yes. Okay. So this book, Superhuman, by Dave Asprey. The subtitle is The Bulletproof Plan to Age Backwards and Maybe Even Live Forever. I don't know about the living forever part.
I want to.
But
because you need a lot of money to live forever.
but but if you live forever, that would imply you're going to be healthy and you can keep working when you're 150 and earning a nice income.
And by the end of it, you might have to rule the world because you'll be the only one who knows everything, because
Maybe.
everybody else would have died.
Maybe.
Yes.
Now,
so living longer is really at the core of anti-fragility health, to live long and healthy.
Yeah.
Two very important components.
So I really can't recommend this book enough. It is absolutely outstanding. This is the book I wish I had written, okay?
Oh, which you had read 50 years ago.
or that.
Yeah.
Yes, or that. Okay, so we're going to talk about a chapter in this book today that is entitled The 7 Pillars of Aging.
The 7 things that drive aging.
Yeah, I don't like the word pillars in this context. To me,
Yes.
pillars means something good.
Yes.
And in this case, I'd prefer if it said the 7 triggers of aging or the 7 causes of aging. And actually, he left one thing out, so I hand wrote it at the end of the chapter.
Well,
okay?
you could release the next version of
That's
this
right.
book that would have the 8 of them, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're talking about the 7 pillars.
Trigger.
Trigger. Oh, trigger.
Trigger.
So what is the first exciting trigger?
The first one is shrinking tissues,
Ooh.
which is another way of saying that our stem cells are not aging well and they're not doing their job.
And
very
shrinking
efficiently.
tissues, what
Yeah.
causes wrinkling? Look at me. You know, I was born perfect skin.
Yeah, and
It's shriveled, it's shrinking
it's not perfect.
anymore as it was when I was born.
Yeah, and shrinking tissues can be osteoporosis for somebody. For almost all of us, we develop sarcopenia to some extent. That means our muscles are not as big and strong as they used
So
to
we
be.
lose muscle mass,
Yes.
or lean muscle mass.
Yes.
That's why when we do body composition measurement, that's one of the important
Yes,
things.
yes.
The retention of lean body mass.
Yes,
All right,
exactly.
so shrinking tissue, wow.
Yes.
Lean body mass, hello, all of those people who are trying to lose weight, you want to lose fat, not muscle.
Yeah.
Lean muscle mass, critical.
So for physicians who treat an elderly population, frailty is a huge issue. And what causes frailty? The primary cause of that is the loss of muscle tissue, the sarcopenia, as it's
And it
called.
will also lead to issues of balance
Sure.
and strength and things like that.
Sure,
Okay.
sure,
Number
absolutely.
2 trigger.
Mitochondrial mutations.
Ooh, that I love mitochondria. I love the dysfunction of it, but I didn't understand the mutations of it.
Okay,
Why
so
don't you explain to us what the mitochondria is, first of all?
mitochondria are these microscopic power plants that we have in every cell of our bodies. Most cells have about 1,000 mitochondria per cell. Eyes, heart, brain, about 10,000 mitochondria per
Per
cell.
cell.
Because
Crowded in there
because
in those cells.
those tissues require so much more
Energy.
energy.
Yeah.
Now, mitochondria has its own DNA, which is completely separate from the DNA from our other cells. Our mitochondrial DNA is inherited only from our mothers. And scientists believe, and the first time I heard this theory several years ago, I thought that's just completely insane.
Yes.
But the evidence is actually there, that mitochondria are actually bacteria that have at some point become incorporated into our cells.
And Karen last time got the word for when bacteria lives with us harmoniously. And that word, Karen, was what? Symbiosis. when bacteria,
Yes, yes.
which typically would be harmful, is now part of our architecture.
Yes.
All right, so this whole issue of mitochondria, you talk about
Mitochondrial
DNA
mutations.
mutation,
Yes.
right? So the mutations are different from the cellular DNA mutation.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
All DNA tends to develop mutations at some point because we have, in order to live and thrive and grow, we have to duplicate our DNA. And every time we do that, there's a possibility of some mutations. We're exposed to radiation, that lifestyle, diet, toxins,
toxicity,
etc.
yes.
Well, the mitochondria, their DNA does not repair itself as readily. Okay, so it's more susceptible to these types of problems.
Yeah.
Fortunately, there are some things we can do to actually grow new healthy mitochondria.
And what is that?
Well, the first thing is exercise.
Oh wow, that is the one I love.
Okay.
And it's easy, everybody can do that.
Well, I don't,
Except when we're burning everything.
I
and
don't
we
know.
can't-
Some people say it's very difficult. So it's a mindset.
What about the exercise where you could watch other people exercise?
That doesn't work.
Oh, okay. I thought they called it mirroring, where you could watch other people exercise and you are sweating.
Well, if you are imagining, if you are daydreaming that you are actually doing the exercise, there's some evidence to suggest there's a little bit of benefit to doing that.
That's better than not doing anything,
That's right,
isn't
that's
it?
right.
And
Yeah.
Una would know most of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do it
She
a lot.
exercises it all in her brain.
I do it every day.
But then if you do that mostly, you're actually just exercising only the mitochondria in the brain.
We have a supplement called PQQ that can help you grow new mitochondria, and hyperbaric oxygen therapy also
You love this,
triggers
this oxygen chambers.
mitochondrial biogenesis is the technical term, growing new mitochondria.
Ah, you're killing some people now. Some mitochondrial biogenesis.
Come on, our people are intelligent, they want to learn.
If they were, they would be voting the right way.
Just can't get away from that, can we?
I know. So number 3 trigger.
Okay.
So again, let's just go back. Number 1 was muscular, tissue
loss.
shrinking
Yes.
or loss. Number 2 was mitochondrial mutations when they make the copies, right?
And number 3 is senescent cells, which is just a fancy way of saying senile cells, or you could think of them as zombie cells. Okay?
Which is kind of sad because you would think that those cells just go and die.
Well, when we're in perfect health, our cells are genetically programmed to die when they've outlived their usefulness. And then our body comes in and recycles the material and creates
You know, the
new
last
cells.
time you said that, I said that sounded like liberals. When they've outlived their usefulness, they should just die off, right? But you didn't agree with me.
Yeah.
So senescent cells, so how
Yeah.
do we then fix this issue? Is it that as we age, they stop being escorted to their death wall, or
Yes.
what happens?
Yes, well, that's basically it. They lose the ability to follow their pre-programmed instructions. Their
Yes.
pre-programmed instructions are to die when it's time for them to die.
And they refuse to die.
And if they refuse to die and just hang around, they gum up the works, they're taking up the space, but they don't do anything useful.
And they contribute to a lot of chronic illnesses, don't
Yes,
they?
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So
yes.
that was number 3.
That was number 3. So, there's a diabetes drug that's very commonly prescribed called metformin.
I take that every day.
And metformin is now commonly being used as an anti-aging drug. The studies are ongoing, but they are telling us that it looks like people that take metformin, even if they don't have diabetes, are going to live 5 to 10 years longer than if they didn't take metformin. One of the things metformin does is it helps get rid of these senescent cells, these zombie
So
cells.
I take metformin, 500 milligrams every day, plus the berberine for sugar management. But metformin, the research is clear on that. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So that's another way to get rid of those stubborn cells.
Yeah, seaweed
Oh, really?
contains a chemical substance called ficitin, which
Yes.
also helps get rid of senescent
Senescent
cells.
cells.
And there is a Japanese herb called ashitaba.
Ashitaba. Is that why those Japanese don't die?
Might be one of the reasons, yes.
Yes. If you go to the island, you will have all of that. What's the thing called again? Ashitaba?
Ashitaba.
Ashitaba. It's an extract from
Yes.
seaweed?
Yes, well, from an herb.
From an herb.
Yeah.
And then there's seaweed. So
And-
Dr. E eats a lot of seaweed with rice.
Well, good for her. That's
Yes,
excellent.
yes.
And this ashitaba in worms and fruit flies has increased their lifespan by 20%.
Wow.
Now, does that translate directly to humans? Probably. We don't know for
We're
sure.
going to find out over time.
Yeah.
So that was number 4.
3. That was number 3.
Okay. So,
Now-
sorry. Yeah, we're going now to number 4.
So,
yeah.
so number 4, this author says cellular straitjackets. Okay.
Wow.
You put a cell.
Tight.
Yeah, it's
So it
tightened up
doesn't
so,
have
so it doesn't have the flexibility to
Ability
function
to
normally.
move around. Yes.
The more accurate medical terminology is AGES, A-G-E-S, AGES. And this stands for Advanced Glycation End Products. When we eat sugar, the sugar coats and caramelizes our protein. And human life is dependent on proteins functioning normally. So when the proteins are caramelized, they cannot function normally.
So the cells are like caught up in a glue-like space.
Yes, exactly.
So they cannot really breathe and expand and
Yes.
do the things they need to do.
Exactly. So that's why
AGES.
we
That's a
real-
new word, guys. AGES.
well, and
It's an acronym.
it's an acronym.
It's an acronym.
But it's very interesting because it literally ages us. So
Yes.
even though it's an acronym, it's also very descriptive as a word itself.
Yeah.
So how do we get rid of ages? Well, first thing we want to do is not let them form in the first place. We don't want to eat the sugar, okay? And we don't want to eat grilled, charcoal, charred meats.
I love it.
I know, we all do.
It
But
tastes so good.
But we should love our healthy cells more, right?
Wow. So you mean the black spots or the burnt
char.
the char areas in the meat?
Those are ages that are already formed, and then you eat them and it gums
Especially
up.
when we do a pork barbecue, you want to
Yeah.
cook it really well,
Yeah.
and sometimes it gets burnt. I thought even burnt rice. I mean, that's like beautiful stuff. So I have to stop all of that.
Yes,
So that,
yes, please.
Okay.
Now, we have a supplement called carnosine, not carnitine, carnosine,
Yes.
that literally reverses these ages.
The glycation, their products.
Unsticks the sugar from the protein.
So how often should you take the carnosine?
1 pill twice a day.
Wow. And it will unstop that. And for how long? Every day?
As long as you want to be healthy.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, don't eat sugar.
Don't eat sugar, don't produce them in the first place. We all have them to some degree. Diabetics have them to a much greater degree because diabetes is blood sugar that's out of control.
Wonderful.
And there's always going to be a certain amount of this caramelization, but we want to keep it to a minimum.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that was number 4. We're going to number 5 now. Am I
Yeah.
correct? Am I
Yes.
tracking well?
You are. Okay. So number 5 is extracellular junk, which is mostly misshapen, inactive proteins. They can't do their job, but yet here they are getting in the way of the healthy proteins doing their job.
You know, that sounds like what we are happening in space now with all the satellites that have outlived their usefulness. They're just floating in space.
That's right.
So we are thinking...
Extracellular junk.
Yes,
you're
extracellular
exactly right.
junk or spatial junk. Yes,
Yeah.
we need to send some spacecraft to go remove all that junk.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
A-
Okay.
And so how do we remove that junk again?
Well, first of all, these are usually called amyloids. Amyloid plaque in the brain causes Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's,
Okay,
yes.
so we want to avoid
the
that.
accumulation of that.
Certainly, you want to eat healthy and exercise. That's
And
very
sleep
important.
well.
And you want to take your vitamin D. Vitamin D helps prevent proteins from losing their shape and sticking together.
Wow, this vitamin D, it keeps showing up. It's
It
like
does,
it's
absolutely.
like it should be my brother.
It's foundational.
Yeah,
It's
it keeps
very
showing up
important.
because you keep saying it's not really a vitamin, it's a hormone, right? Vitamin D.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
wonderful. Vitamin D3, sorry. we need to
D3,
be specific.
And there's also a connection between toxic heavy metals, which we've mentioned briefly a few times.
Yes.
All of us are exposed to heavy metals everywhere in our environment, every day of our lives. We really have no good way to detoxify or eliminate. And heavy metals contribute to this problem of extracellular junk. They tend to make the protein deform.
Okay.
Now here's a brand new thing that I just read in here that I wasn't aware of. Kale, that everybody is so
Caught
excited
up
about,
with.
caught
Yes.
up with. I got to eat lots of kale. Well, it's extraordinarily high in a toxic heavy metal called thallium.
Yes, we actually, in our earlier testing here,
Yes.
a lot of kale in California is grown in the Central Valley.
Yes.
And because of fracking,
Yeah.
they've been finding a lot of thallium in
Yes.
the kale itself.
Yes,
So
yes.
for some reason it accumulates in kale.
Yeah.
So all you kale people in California, you think you're like optimized eating. Kale is really dangerous. So you have to take kale and then you take our Broco Protect.
Well, but remember, the Broco Protect is for general detox.
Yes.
For heavy metal detox, we need intravenous chelation therapy is the definitive way to address that.
Okay. So, and we talked about that
Yeah.
yesterday.
If you're going to eat kale, eat baby kale. It's had less time to take up thallium.
How do you know which ones are the baby kales?
The package says baby kale.
Okay, thank you. I was thinking you go to the farm and they say, we are babies.
We are babies.
We are babies. Take us out.
Well, the grown-up kale looks like they've just stuffed a bush in the
Yes.
bag.
Okay.
It's like eating a bush. The baby kale is more like eating lettuce.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're going to the next one.
Trigger number 6, junk building up inside the cell.
So number 5 was outside the
Yes.
cell.
Yes.
Now we're inside the cell. My
Yes.
God. So
Yes.
there's a lot of junk around.
Yeah. So we call this intracellular aggregation.
Yes.
And really the most important thing here is, again, avoiding the ages, avoiding the sugar that causes that, and avoiding the charred meats, the grilled meats.
So I thought that some of that had to do with, isn't that why we practice intermittent fasting with the whole issue of autophagy? The issue of cleaning up the intercellular junk? I mean, you explored some of that.
Yeah, okay, so fasting has some incredible benefits, one of which is autophagy,
Yeah.
which is a fancy word that means cells eating themselves, destroying themselves, okay? You have to fast for about 24 hours to get to the point of autophagy.
Yes.
And once you've fasted for 72 hours, you've reached pretty much maximum benefit.
All right. So
So-
you shouldn't be fasting for more than 72 hours if
Well,
you were going a dry or wet fast.
You can.
Yeah.
You can.
But are you saying that if the one I practice every day, like 16, 17 hours
The intermittent
fasting?
fasting.
Yes.
That's very good. That helps us to detoxify.
That's why you call it intermittent, but real fasting is if you go 24 hours.
24 to 72,
72 hours.
Yeah.
Very important, guys.
Yeah.
And that cleans out this intercellular junk.
Yes. Yes.
And how do we measure that it has all been cleaned?
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I know. It's really tough,
Yeah,
right?
I'm not aware of any tests that would definitively say that.
Yeah.
It's more about people who go on a fast typically report how fantastic they feel.
The clarity of
Yeah.
thinking,
Yeah.
the strength, the recovery.
Yeah,
yes.
I've seen rheumatoid arthritis patients with almost 100% remission just from a 3-day carrot juice fast.
Yes.
Organic homemade carrot juice, not
3-day,
commercial.
72-hour fast
Yeah.
with full recovery. And I hear cancer patients, Alzheimer patients,
Yes.
fasting. I used to think it was punishment when I
Well-
was in the Catholic Church.
Well, the idea is that our body has all these functions that it
Yeah.
has to perform on a regular basis. And when we're eating food, our body has to process that food and has to detoxify whatever was in it.
Yeah.
So now that you take that burden off the body, now it can go back to the more basics, more the foundational.
So you are saying that at some point we should not be eating. We should just be taking all the nutrients.
Most people would really benefit by a 3-day fast once every 3 months. Now,
Really?
if that's too much, once every 6 months.
But you are
If
saying
that's
that,
too much, once a year.
yeah,
the
Liz,
more you do it, the
I
better.
haven't done it in the last 10 years. So you were saying a carrot juice fast or a water fast or a dry fast. Do you want to explore, because I know there's a lot of literature around those options.
Okay.
Because I can't imagine even doing a dry fast.
Well, if you're talking about a dry fast where you drink no fluid, no, absolutely don't anybody ever do that.
Okay.
Because you'll get dehydrated and you'll get very sick. We
Okay.
have to, a minimum, drink water.
Yes.
A carrot juice fast is one where you can consume as much carrot juice and or water as you want.
I'm sure
whenever
by
you
the
want.
second day you will hate carrot juice.
Not really.
Not really?
Not really.
You don't have to put cayenne pepper or anything in it to give it some...
Some kick.
Yes.
Well, if you feel like you need to be kicked in the ass, then go ahead.
So, and this has to be organic carrots.
Organic, made at home, fresh. You can't go to the grocery store or the health food store and buy it off the shelf.
Yeah, you have to make it yourself.
Yeah, and if you're not willing to do that, just then do the water fast.
Okay, so it has to be like ground so that there is no fiber, or just strands of it is also okay?
Well, there's going to be a little fiber in it, but different juicers. Some juicers pretty much extract all the fiber. Others leave some fiber.
Next week I want to do this fast.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I have to go buy a lot of carrots.
Yes, you do.
The farmer's market and get ready for it. 3 days carrot juice fast.
Yes.
How many people are going to join me on that? Una, are you going to join me? Dr. Psari is going to join. Vincent, step up. All right, we have 3 or 4 people. Karen? Karen cannot miss one meal.
Okay.
All right, so that was very important. So that's the carrot juice fast for 3 days. And the key thing was that it would push autophagy, which clears that intracellular junk, which is really at the core of a lot of illnesses.
Yes.
And what's the next one?
Okay. Number 7, telomere shortening.
I know you love this telomere stuff.
Well, telomeres are very important. We have strands of DNA that are two strands wrapped together in a spiral.
Like a
ladder.
shoelace. Yeah, like a shoelace.
Well, that's the telomere. I'm talking about the DNA.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, those 2 strands have to unwind
Yes.
and be duplicated, then wind back up. Every time they do that, there's a little wear and tear on the end of the telomeres. So the telomeres, or the end of the DNA, rather. So the end of the DNA is protected by something called telomeres. It's like the little plastic cap at the end of your shoelace,
Laces,
so your shoelace doesn't unravel.
Yeah.
And each time it goes through that unwinding and rewinding process, the telomeres shorten a little bit. DNA mutations that can happen can also aggravate this. Radiation can aggravate this.
Yes.
At some point, your telomeres get so short that your DNA is no longer protected.
Yeah, and you lose
Yeah.
the benefit
Yeah.
of that copy,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
So-
or the protection.
So we want to lengthen our telomeres, don't we? And boy-
Yes, and we were talking about that research that came out of Israel.
Yes.
About your most valuable installation in your clinic, your hyperbaric
Hyperbaric chamber.
oxygen chamber.
Yes.
And you did promise that you're going to start using it daily.
Daily.
Yes.
I can't use it when I'm here.
Oh, well,
You want me to stop coming here?
No, I'm going to get one here too.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go.
I'm going to get one here.
Okay.
And you and I can go into the chamber 10 minutes. We could run this video in the hyperbaric chamber.
No, you can't.
Oh, really? Why not? We would be too intelligent for this world.
Because the chamber is sealed up.
Oh, but I mean, we will have microphones in the chamber, and you'll be running it. We'll be like men in space talking from the hyperbaric chamber, and we'll be communicating to you in language that heals.
So are you suggesting that we'll become space cadets?
Yes, yes, something like
Okay.
that. So that was number 7.
Yeah.
And
Now-
you said you had a bonus.
Well, just a moment. Hyperbaric oxygen, there's an herb called astragalus
Oh yes, it's in most of our immune products.
that helps repair and lengthen telomeres.
It's a Chinese herb.
Yeah.
That's in a lot of our products.
There's a
yeah.
peptide called epitalon that can lengthen telomeres.
That's a peptide.
A peptide. Yeah.
Actually, I have it in the office.
Yeah?
I should be taking
You
this.
should. We probably could come up with 1,000 pills you should be swallowing every day.
I know, right? So what are peptides again, just briefly, Doc?
Okay. All proteins are long strings of amino acid hooked together in a certain specific order.
Yes.
Okay? And depending on the order of the amino acids determines what that protein looks like, what its shape is, what its job is, what its function is.
Yes.
Okay? And peptides are just a very short string of amino acids. Peptides are a relatively new area of research. We're still learning a lot more, but we already know that there are hundreds of peptides that have different important functions in the human body. And in most cases, those peptides have healing functions.
And the Russians are ahead of us in this game, right?
I haven't finished my research and I haven't started taking it yet, but there's actually a peptide that I can take with my fair skin, and it will give me a tan without ever going out into the sun.
I was worried that you could become black.
Well,
Then that would be, now you have black privilege.
I
have black privilege.
I know you do,
Yes,
and you don't hesitate to use it.
exactly, that's the point. Yes, why not? Because white privilege has been used all the time, so I started using black privilege.
I see.
And when those two privileges collide, passion.
Do you see the passion here, folks? Do you see it?
Yes.
Yes, so, all right, you were going to give us the bonus trigger.
Okay, the bonus is damaged DNA.
Whoa.
Okay, we all accumulate DNA damage. It's just part of life.
So hold on. We spoke about mitochondrial DNA.
Yeah, now we're talking about
cellular DNA.
Yes.
Which is the one, okay,
Yes.
the one that we came from our fathers.
Yes.
Because the DNA
Well,
came from our mothers.
Okay,
But that's kind of cheating.
the mitochondrial DNA is 100% from our mothers. Our cellular DNA is 50% mother, 50% father.
So, wow, that's why we need mothers.
For multiple
That's
reasons.
why.
I just checking. Without mothers, we wouldn't have mitochondrial DNA.
And we would just be a vegetable. We would have no energy to move around.
So that is why women are more important than men.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that? That women were more important than men?
Oh, of course.
Because without women, we have no energy.
I've known that for years.
Oh, yeah, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay. But then we wouldn't create children.
That's right.
Like I did, 5 of them. Stubborn children.
So, hyperbaric oxygen, it repairs damaged DNA,
Wow.
including the mitochondrial DNA. It lengthens telomeres. It kills zombie cells, senescent cells, and it helps us grow brand new mitochondria.
My God, it looks like the next investment in this clinic is a hyperbaric oxygen chamber.
I believe so.
And how often should, you know, Michael Jackson used to live in his chamber.
Well, that's the rumor. I don't know if
That he used to have one.
Yeah.
Can you carry it around like a bubble? You become a bubble guy in your chamber?
Well, there are portable hyperbaric chambers that are soft-sided that you can carry around. They're not as good.
Yeah.
They don't have as much benefit because you can't achieve as much pressure. But
Okay.
it is theoretically possible to travel with your own portable hyperbaric chamber.
And just live on just oxygen.
Well,
And then get hydrogen from our hydrogen water.
okay, look. As essential as oxygen is to life, you can overdose on it, and that is actually dangerous. So you don't want to sleep all night in a hyperbaric chamber. That would be an oxygen overdose.
Okay.
So typically a session in a chamber is between 1 and 1.5 hours.
Yeah.
And you can do it every day, you can do it twice a day. You tend to get the maximum anti-aging benefit from somewhere in the ballpark of 50 to 60 hyperbaric sessions. However, 20 will get you tons of benefit.
20 a year.
20, well, I'm just saying an initial series of 20
All right.
will give you
Okay.
tons of benefit.
Yeah, like twice a week or once a week.
Yeah.
All right.
Or
So
5 times a week for 4 weeks.
yeah, that's if
Yeah.
we have one. I could
Yeah.
just have one in my living room. But this is really unfair because when we look at all of this, it looks like the rich people are all geared to live longer than us.
Well,
That's why I'm trying to get you and I rich. So we can actually live to 120.
is it working?
It is.
All right, good
We're
deal.
healthy.
Good
And
deal.
we're beating COVID-19. So before we close, we're going to bring our brand ambassador, Una, up. Una's been listening in shock to some of these things. Come on, Una.
I think she's looking forward to a 3-day fast.
My only thing is no caffeine. It's very concerning for me because
But you could do a caffeine fast, where you just drink only caffeine.
no.
Why not?
She said no.
You can have some caffeine during a fast.
Oh, you can during the carrot juice fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then it's a possibility.
So you're going to join us?
Probably not.
Why
But
not?
maybe for like, you know, even 12 hours for me is a lot because
You mean 12 hours not eating?
yeah, I've never done it before in my entire life.
12 hours?
I've never fasted.
So
I've
you mean
never...
even when you're sleeping, you're chewing?
Yes. So, right before I go to sleep, right as soon as I
Even in
wake
your
up,
sleep, in your dream, you can see the plate
yeah,
coming and you're like
yes.
having.
Before I start having my dreams, I plan what I'm gonna eat as soon as I wake up.
Wow.
Yeah, it's I'm
Really?
very dedicated. She your
You
daughter
mean you're
knows.
dedicated to the food?
Correct.
That would be an
I'm very
addiction. Doc, isn't that an
dedicated.
addiction?
Well, I think we all share that addiction. I think we're all addicted to food
Yeah.
and water and oxygen.
Yeah, but I'm not dreaming of
You don't
food.
dream of why?
No,
That's
because I'm
interesting.
like boring.
So before you go to bed, do you not plan your breakfast?
I don't eat breakfast.
Oh well, we're not. the
I've
same.
never heard of anybody who needs to plan their breakfast
I do.
before they go
It
to
gets me
sleep.
very excited to wake up
To
and
sleep.
jump. Yes.
Oh, so it gets you excited.
Yes.
Oh, let me sleep.
Let
I'm
me
gonna
sleep so I
wake
can
up.
wake up. Yeah.
God. And then you wake up and the world has changed and there is no breakfast anymore.
No, it's still breakfast for me.
Just like what?
So, okay, Doc, you are gonna supervise this fast.
Okay.
So next week it's gonna be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Wow. Okay.
And we want to make sure Doc is checking
Uh-huh.
because we don't want you to go into some kind of
Shock.
shock, right, Doc?
Yeah, yeah.
So we want you in the clinic.
Sorry.
If we need to Uber you, we don't want you driving and dreaming of breakfast and other things. But can you imagine at the end of the fast, food will be like, food, we are back to you.
Yeah.
But do people get, like, I know for example for me, I've never done a fast, but like say if it's a few hours or like 6-7 hours and I've ate nothing, I get antsy.
Well,
Do people get antsy?
that's because you've got a certain degree of hypoglycemia, low blood sugar. So look, when we eat food, and the standard American diet contains lots of sugar and starch, our blood sugar goes quite high as a response to that food we've eaten,
Yeah.
which then forces our pancreas to put out this big surge of insulin to handle all that excess sugar. Okay, and in many cases, the insulin overshoots a little bit. And that causes the blood sugar to come crashing down, and now your blood sugar goes a little too low. And that's hypoglycemia, and that's when you start feeling antsy. A fairly short period into the fast, your blood sugar will mellow out, and it'll be stable.
So, for example, I have not eaten since last night at 6 p.m.
No way. Nothing?
Nothing.
Did you drink something?
Just water.
Yeah.
Wow, and no coffee?
I don't drink coffee.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Sunday night, I did an intermittent fast, so I had no breakfast Monday morning. The next night I did the same thing. I've had breakfast today and yesterday, but I had intermittent fasted, I think, for 3 days in a row.
So we're going to do that. Yeah, go ahead, Doc. Sorry.
If we can do that,
Yeah.
intermittent fasting, 3 or 4 days a week, you can do it every single day. Because once you get used to it, most people like the way they feel.
Yes.
So intermittent fasting is not eating in the morning and eating from a certain hour to a certain hour daily. I've never done that either.
Basically, so every night when we go to sleep, we are fasting, right? From the
Well,
time,
she's not. She's dreaming of food.
I'm not, yeah. So it's not the same. but
from the time we finish dinner until the time we
We
eat
wait.
breakfast.
Yeah.
got it.
So breakfast is called breakfast because we are breaking the fast, breaking the overnight fast.
Yeah.
Okay, and so with intermittent fasting, we're just extending that time to about lunch. Okay, so,
And that's
so
why
no
Doc,
food from the end of dinner until lunch the next day.
and Doc, that's why in the traditional breakfast systems, there was a lot of fat, protein, and carbohydrates as part of breakfast. Because that is really a good time to consume that because the body is going to use that very well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to close. I think we have some questions.
Yes.
I would like you to have a copy of this book,
Yes.
and then I want you to start taking chapter by chapter
Yes. I need to
as
get
you
this.
go through this book, right? The book again.
Can you show us the
I already did when you weren't looking, but okay.
Yeah, but they were asking for more.
More,
Sorry,
more.
more of it. And so you're going to walk us through. Walk through your influencing world
Yes.
step by
With this
step through
book.
Dave Asprey. But Dr. Johnson, before we close, why don't you tell us who this guy is?
Who this guy is?
He's not even a doctor.
No, he's not a doctor. He runs a tech company in Silicon Valley.
He's one of those billionaire boys.
Oh wow.
He's had severe chronic illnesses since he was a young boy.
Yeah.
And in his particular case, it was mostly due to the fact that he had been severely exposed to black mold in his house. Okay? And he has spent a lifetime obsessing on researching everything he can about health and making contact with the top researchers in the field of longevity,
Yeah.
and implementing that into his own life and sharing that with the world.
Yeah.
And so he's now 45, I think.
Yeah.
He's in outstanding health. He's in the best health of his life. And
Almost like David Sinclair, yeah.
he says he's planning to live to age 180 and hopefully beyond.
Yes.
Time will
So
tell.
it's a
We'll
very
see.
interesting, he's written a
love
couple of books. We're going to be walking through his books because
Yeah.
he also has the book, we have it here, The Bulletproof Diet, where he really talks about what you should be eating to really optimize your health and your lifespan.
Yeah.
So very, very important
Yeah.
concepts. Did we have questions?
We
Go ahead.
shouldn't live to eat. We should eat to live.
To live.
I love that.
Eat to live.
I'm gonna work
and
on
you
that.
are living to eat.
I
I
am
can
living
tell.
to
Yes.
eat. Yeah.
You wake up in the morning
Yeah.
and you're like, where is the
Food.
food?
Give it to me. Yeah.
Yes, okay. So did we have questions, Karen?
Oh yeah, we had a couple questions. First question was, being a holistic doctor, you typically don't recommend any kind of prescription drugs. Why metformin?
Well, look, as a holistic doctor, in general, drugs are a last resort.
Correct.
okay?
We prescribe them. We do not say we do not, as a last resort.
Yeah, as a last resort. And so metformin is one of those rare drugs that has some very powerful
Benefits.
long-term health benefits. And so that's why we make an exception. Most drugs have all sorts of downsides and side effects. Metformin, we don't normally see any side effects. Sometimes if people try to ramp their dose up too quickly,
Yeah.
they'll get a little abdominal distress or loose
Yes.
bowels,
Yes.
but we just ease into it more gradually and that problem usually goes away.
Yeah. So I take 500 milligrams every day, even though my HbA1c is around 5.4.
Yeah.
So bad because I know that it's a
Yeah.
very powerful
Yes.
solution, as you did mention.
Yes.
Was there another question?
Yeah, you said that you can overdose on oxygen.
Yes.
How much is too much oxygen?
Well,
You're gonna know when you're overdosed, right?
Yeah, well, you
you're never
know
going to overdose on oxygen in normal everyday life, okay? That's not possible for that to happen.
Except those people who climb to high elevations,
No, they're underdosing on oxygen.
and that's when they go dizzy.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So, about the only way I know of to overdose on oxygen is to go in a hyperbaric chamber and stay there all day.
Okay.
So,
All right.
so there's no
So
fear in
even
that.
those people with COPD who are taking oxygen, they don't take it all the time. They have to like regulate it.
Well, it depends on how severe their COPD is.
Okay.
Some of them are on intermittent oxygen, some of them are on
Continuous
continuous
oxygen.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
So question, back to hyperbaric bed. So you're saying even if someone does it for 1 hour for a month, they won't overdose?
1 hour a day?
Yeah, 1 hour a day.
No, not at
No.
all.
Really?
Yeah.
No. If you limit your hyperbaric time to an hour and a half per session, there's no problem.
So, but you could put a timer and sleep inside at home. It could become your bed at home. Put a timer
You have
that
it at
every
home, yeah.
night you just put an hour of it on,
Yeah.
and then you go to sleep. Right?
Yeah.
You sleep in this oxygen-infused environment.
Yeah.
You could.
Okay, just 1 hour.
But then
Yeah.
if you wake up and have to pee, it's kind of a hassle because you've got to go through a depressurization protocol
Oh, to
before
release.
you can get out.
Oh,
of it.
that's correct. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
thank you, Una, for joining.
for
How
having
useful was this conversation to
I
you?
love it. I actually love the hyperbaric oxygen. I've used it, like I usually do 15 sessions at a time when I do it. But it's typically if I had like say a laser procedure or something that
For
I feel
healing.
right. And I notice, I mean, the healing is like 60% maybe 70 more than I typically would do it. And
Yeah.
even doctors are like, well, what are you doing? And
Right.
it's something that I do, and I'm wondering if it's worth doing it when you're not going through a healing, when you're just totally fine.
Well-
As far as feeling, and is there a difference?
Well, sure. Anybody at any age can do it preventively and get benefit from it. Certainly those of us that have crossed the 40-year-old threshold are going to get more benefit.
Yeah.
But
Because we have a lot of extracellular and intracellular
junk, yes.
to clear.
Yeah. So if time and money are not an issue and you want it to do it preventively at your young age, sure, go
I'll
for
just
it.
keep you
All
18
right.
forever.
well,
Is that what it does?
well, he wants to live 180 and beyond.
And I'm gonna go back to 18, so we're kind of.
18.
I want to go back to 18 and
And
stay
stay
there.
there forever. You don't want to reduce
No,
to
no
like
19.
5. Yeah.
No, 5 is pushing it. I'm okay with
But if you
18.
went back to 18, you would lose all the wisdom you've accumulated. So that's not recommended.
Oh,
Or I could give you my brain and then you have it at 18.
that's fine.
Yeah, then
We
what
can
will
do-
you do without a brain?
I don't care. It's a contribution I'll be making to
That
humanity.
is,
see.
he's the source.
Yeah. And I could grow a new brain. Yes, Karen.
We have 2 more questions.
Yes.
On the carrot fast.
Yes.
Carrot juice fast.
Yes. Someone said, can you do the carrot fast after being sick?
You can do it at any time. Can you do the fast after being sick?
Of course.
You can do the fast anytime.
course.
Actually, they encourage that if you're sick, you should do fast.
Yes, because you're going to heal fast.
Correct. So if you fast when you're ill, you actually heal faster.
And then if you're only drinking carrot juice for 3 days, can't you overdose on carrot juice?
No.
It's like overdosing on water. It's not possible.
No, you can
Well,
overdose on water.
You like drink too much.
People have died from forcing themselves to drink too much water.
Really?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I knew that.
Okay.
There was a radio contest back when the video game Wii first came out,
Yes.
and it was very hard to get. Everybody wanted one, they couldn't find it, they were
Yes.
out of stock. So a radio station in San Francisco had a contest entitled "Hold Your Wii to Win a Wii."
Yes.
So the contest was drink as much water as you can, but don't urinate. Hold your
Oh,
Wii.
wow.
And one of the ladies in the contest died from drinking too much water.
Wow.
And
Just
I
for a week.
I think her family now
Just
owns
for
that
a
radio station.
Yeah.
Obviously. They
So-
sue them, yeah.
Yeah.
You said there was another question?
That was the 2-part.
All right.
So let me make one more comment there. If you continued drinking copious amounts of carrot juice
turn orange.
week after week, month after month, your skin would eventually turn orange. You'd look like a carrot.
Oh, yeah, you
Someone
might become a
actually
carrot.
asked
And
that.
people
Someone
would
asked
say, oh, you look jaundiced. It does kind of look like jaundice, but
Yes.
it's not.
But you're just becoming a carrot.
It's just the pigmentation.
You're becoming a carrot.
It's the beta carotene.
I understand.
Yeah.
But that means that you might start producing carrot babies.
And you stop the carrot juice and the pigmentation goes away.
And your pee also will be carrot pee. Everything will be carrot oriented.
Sounds like it. You just become one.
Well, thank you very much for.
One more question?
No.
That was it?
Yes.
Okay. excellent.
Well, thank you for joining us, Una,
Thank you for
our
having
brand
me.
ambassador, Dr. Johnson.
Thank
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you for joining us, loving us, liking us, sharing us, and